Today we're taking a look at this SEC matchup between Mississippi State and LSU. This is an interesting spot for each of these teams as this game has not gained much media attention throughout the week, but I happen to think that a large portion of the country will be tuned into this one as it is sandwiched in between the Penn State-Auburn game at 3:30 and the Miami-Texas A&M game. Mississippi State comes in as a confident team as they have beaten their first two opponents by an average margin of 24 points. This is a team that returns a ton of production from last year, yet they were still projected to finish near the bottom of the SEC West, so they are out to prove their doubters wrong early this season. Meanwhile, LSU, on the other hand, took care of business in their first home game, but is looking to prove its worth in Power 5 play, let alone SEC play. So with that said, let's take a look at the matchups on each side of the ball and ultimately look at the factors that will determine the outcome of this game. So we're going to start with Mississippi State's offense, which is considered the air raid offense, but is actually a bit more balanced this year as they actually have averaged less than 2-to-1 passing to running split so far this season. And it hasn't just been because they've been trying to run the ball late in the game to eat clock because they've been dominating their opponents. They have actually come out and run the ball early in games, and it's really because they have two capable backs and an offensive line that has some new faces in new spots but has played at a pretty high level so far this season. So you're talking about a quarterback in Will Rogers who is very decisive and certainly has the physical tools to be a good to great quarterback at the college level, and he shows that on a weekly basis. And this is a team that runs 3 to 4 wide receiver sets, so that LSU secondary is going to be tested. Then we flip it over to the other side of the ball, and I think it is more important for LSU to have a balanced attack in this one as they struggle to run the ball against Florida State. You want to let that offensive line be able to play downhill and establish themselves as a dominant unit in this game. I do think to some degree they're going to have to match Mississippi State's pass-first offense and keep up with them in this game, but at the end of the day, it is more important for LSU to set up the run and, again, be a balanced offense this time around. The one point I missed going back to Mississippi State's offense versus LSU's defense, we know how exceptional Mike Leach is as a play caller. I think Matt House, defensive coordinator for LSU, is going to have to match that excellence, really show Will Rogers some different looks throughout the game and slow down his process. So now going back to the LSU offense, they do get John Emery back in the running back room, so I think he can help on the ground. And then ultimately, will Jaden Daniels match Will Rogers' efficiency and effectiveness throughout the game? We know that Jaden Daniels can be an effective runner, an effective scrambler, can be effective at extending the play. Will he be able to trust his offensive line and really make some throws down the field from the pocket to match Will Rogers' efficiency? So those are the keys I'm looking at for this game. Mississippi State does come in as a 2.5-point favorite. I'm not going to predict the outcome of this one, but ultimately my keys for the game, for it to be a good game, are Jaden Daniels matching Will Rogers' efficiency and effectiveness, defensive coordinator for LSU, Matt House, mixing up the defensive looks and coverages to slow down Will Rogers' process. And then ultimately, will LSU's pass rush get home with 4 so that defensive coordinator Matt House can mix up those coverages on the back end? So with that said, I'm looking forward to a great SEC opening game between two rivals. I hope you are too. So that's going to do it for this one. If you enjoy the content, please consider hitting that subscribe button as I try to preview a lot of college football games, do some recaps on some college football games, maybe mix in a few NFL games here and there as well. And then when the NBA season comes around, I'll be looking into that too. So thanks for watching and stay tuned.